G'day everybody and welcome back to the Hardball Gets AFL show. Completely packed for work in the weekend. This podcast is brought to you by the new Mazda BT50 SP. It's a complete package. Today on the show, we're going to go through all the trades, give each club a grade, or at least review Robbo's grades. If you haven't subscribed to the show, please do that. Leave a rating, leave a review, and tell your mates. All right, get stuck in. This is the Hardball Gets AFL show. My name's Nick Rynne, joined by Ryan Daniels and Chris Robinson. What's going on? Why do you guys pay? What's wrong with my intro?
I love how you have to look down at your pad to know what our names are.
Yeah,
it looks like you were joined by, and then you look down.
Because since we've been filming, I barrel the intro, and then I don't know where. I don't want to barrel straight out of it, so I have to divert my eyes somewhere. I know who you are.
I love
refreshing.
his introductions.
Yeah,
it's the same every time, but he just nails it right down that barrel. He knows exactly what he's doing.
And now I've had the third and fourth people tell me that they actually tell their mates.
What?
Like they're telling their mates to listen. You guys gave me
you know how you say, tell your mates.
Like no one's going to tell. People are telling each other.
Are they though, really?
They are.
because you told them to.
Because I told them
Otherwise, they wouldn't have.
Sammy,
you know what happens? They pause. They pause listening.
And then they send a message.
They text like 5 mates.
With the link.
Then they play again.
Hello there, friend.
Hey, there's this cool podcast you should listen to.
I know.
It's called Hardball Gets.
There's basically nothing else happening in the AFL season, but
Yeah.
get on board now. No, our unofficial apparel sponsor, Steak Hill Produce. So I went and got a new hat.
Hold on a minute.
And Sammy and Pete told me that they tell their mates.
This is very Xavier Ellis areas. You just casually dropping in the place that gave you a free hat.
It wasn't even casual. It was
at least they've tried.
It was like an aggressive dropping
I think
in.
they've given us probably 6 free hats at this point. But I paid for this
I
one.
love how he says us, like I have a hat.
No, you don't.
Do you have a hat?
I need a hat more than anyone here.
Shannon has a hat.
Okay, well, interesting.
You guys haven't sucked up enough, obviously.
Interesting.
Haven't dropped it. I actually paid for this one because I lost the first one and I wasn't going to.
How'd you lose the first one?
He would have been drunk for sure. Had you had some beers?
I had a couple of beers.
For sure.
Point. Anyway, Robbo.
No Zave today.
He
keeps ducking and diving this stuff.
He does.
He's up to something. There's
something
going on. He's in a lot of meetings lately.
He is.
A lot of meetings. Watch this space, I reckon. With Xavier Ellis.
Just collecting more hats.
Just putting it out there.
And the childcare's gone to Broome for a
He's
nice
doing
holiday.
something.
Mm-hmm.
So Robbo has kindly jumped in. Also, happily did really detailed, in-depth, well thought out gradings at the end of the trade period yesterday.
So let me qualify this. So we, first of all, we can't complain because here in WA, as far as deadline and trade goes, the 4:30 deadline as opposed to in Melbourne, the 7:30 deadline, where that's even more of a struggle to get in the paper. But having said that, always a struggle to try and get it all together. So I was sort of charged with putting deal by deal by deal by deal and then a bit of a rundown. Anyway, long story short, it took me hours to do. Did all the ins, outs, picks, futures, everything.
Yep.
Literally finished it. 3 minutes later, email comes through from the AFL. Here it is, guys. The complete rundown. Picks. Didn't know it was coming. Could have just copied and pasted. I was just like, I wish I hadn't seen that. Anyway, so I've somewhat hastily.
So hold on, who comes up to you and says, Robbo, you got to put some grades with this stuff? Or do you just
That was me because it's always something that goes really well online at the west.com.au year after year.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have put a little bit more time into it. Sure, you guys can probably pull apart.
You want to hit it on the side. I remember one year there was someone we tasked with it back when I was digital sports editor.
Yes.
You were working with me. Who didn't quite understand how hasty they needed to be. It was kind of 5 minutes to go. How you going there, mate? Oh, yeah, I got through about 6 of them.
Okay, so I got an idea because I haven't seen your grades.
God. Yeah, okay.
So how about I give a grade without thinking about it?
Okay. Also thanks for reading, right?
I was going to get to it. It's right. It's the next thing I was going to do straight after this podcast.
It's on his bookmark.
I'll just have a stab and we'll see how close we can get because you've seen them, obviously.
Let's do it.
You've got
I have it.
You've got
it
this
in front
right
of me.
Okay.
We'll punch you out. Adelaide in ranking 46, future third, future fourth.
Yep.
Out Billy Frampton, pick 5, future third, future fourth. I'm assuming you're going players before picks there and not thinking that Billy Frampton is a better asset than pick 5.
Billy Frampton definitely better than pick 5. No, players, then picks, then future picks. Yeah.
So what's your
format?
grade?
Okay, so let's chat about it first. So
ranking tick.
Yeah, so that forward line now, you got Rankin,
Rochelle.
you've got Rochelle, you've got Fogg,
Thriller.
You've got Thriller.
You've got Tex still on.
Tex is still there. But you got 4 really strong young players to build that forward line around. And you would assume now that Rochelle will get a bit of midfield time, which is great because you love having that dynamic player that can shift between the two.
And it's probably a point of difference, like a real elite forward line like that with that many studs.
Yeah.
That's probably a point of difference on the rest of the comp. I mean, Geelong had that.
Yeah.
But there's not too many others that do.
Do you reckon they'd be a bit bummed from like a PR standpoint that they had this great player that they were bringing in and everyone in South Australia was like, well done, Adelaide.
Yeah,
and then Horn Francis happens and it's like, oh, yeah, and Rankin
Why
also.
did we get him?
Or Rankin's also happening.
Yeah.
But it does feel like they kind of lost the centre stage, right?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So they draft hands 23, 46. So it's a good player in. I still thought they would. I wanted to see them get like a really top.
They needed another
mid.
kid, yeah.
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 Which is the concern.
I would say that's the big concern because if, like, we love our man Sam Berry.
Yeah, they got Grunt.
Laird's still there.
Yeah.
Like,
no stars.
Ben Keys.
Yeah, they're missing an elite young midfielder. And look, let's be honest, they're probably not going to finish in the top 8 next year. I would say that's a fair thing to say. They'll get another one. They'll get another probably top 7, 8 pick, you would think. So there's still stuff coming.
And you can probably, I can imagine a world where Rankine and Rochelle are like a Bolton, Dusty, just like splitting their time.
Yeah,
maybe
potentially.
Point of difference there.
Yeah, maybe Dawson plays some more midfield time. Like, yeah, look, okay, so hold on, let me think about this. I reckon you would have given them a C+.
Oh, it's a B.
Pretty close.
Oh, that's pretty close. I was going to say B-.
Yeah.
Did you do pluses and minuses?
I did do, yeah.
Okay,
but this one was a straight up B.
Okay, and your thoughts behind that?
Yeah, I mean, they got Rankine, which was what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Bit worried about, so that draft hand, as you said, 23 and 46.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much there for a club that is still legitimately rebuilding. So can understand why they did it. So, yeah, you tick it off. Yeah, it's kind of a middle of the road for me.
Adelaide are very middle of the road.
Yeah, have been.
I just feel like they're good enough to not be a bottom 3 side with the veterans that they've got and some of the young guys coming through. They're not going to win anything significant. It's a holding pattern.
No, he didn't go anywhere, did he? That key back, the top 10 pick.
Mackesy?
Yeah.
Or McCasey?
Yeah.
I think it's Mackesy, yeah.
The big fish?
Nah,
he hasn't played enough games for us to say his name right.
So he definitely had some meetings. Like, he flew out. He went to Victoria. I mean,
that was happening.
Yeah, I did too. So it would have been nice to see him get another opportunity.
All right, Brisbane's ins. Jack Gunston, Josh Dunkley, 35, 36, 38, 55, 56, future third, future fourth.
It's a lot.
Out. McStay, Berry, 15.
That's the other Berry.
Fourth.
Tom Berry.
Sorry, Tom Berry.
Tom
Berry.
Yeah.
And then they got a lot of picks in their 30s.
So all those picks are brought in because of the
father-son stuff.
Fletcher
all be wrapped up
Ashcroft?
in Ashcroft and then Fletcher. Jasper Fletcher?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Jasper with an A.
So he'll go into deficit for
Jasper.
next year.
Jasper.
It is Jasper with an A,
Producer
isn't
Shannon
it?
like that
Yeah.
one. Jasper.
No, I know you do that. I have to do that too. Like,
Yeah.
if it's a
not
certain way to
Jasper.
spell it, you have to
Jasper.
say it.
That's going to be a BT. I can imagine
Jasper.
that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, you can
It's
say
probably
that.
already practicing now.
So what do you think he gave? Do we want to talk about it and then we say what he
Well, they did what they had to do, right? So they had to get the points to get Ashcroft because that's the no-brainer. So immediately they're starting with an A because they're a team that finished. They made a prelim, right?
Yeah, they made a prelim.
Yep.
Made a prelim.
Yep.
And they're getting the best kid in the country.
Yeah.
So it's a
Probably
free
the
hit.
best kid we've seen in a while.
Yeah, well, we always say this, but we're talking a guy who could be like a Sam Walsh level player, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting that guy essentially for nothing, just because of genetics.
Yeah.
And then you get Dunkley to agree to come to your club, really giving away not much in the short term. Like, the Dogs did as well as they possibly could given the circumstances. But you're bringing in the best kid plus Dunkley. There's no way Robbo could have given them any less than an A, and I would almost say that they get an A+.
A minus.
Ooh, why the minus?
Probably could have been an A.
Probably could have been an A.
In hindsight,
Harsh
probably could have
teacher.
been an A.
This is a harsh marker.
Harsh teacher.
Probably, yeah.
He'd have been that teacher in school, and he'd be like, oh, no, I've got Mr. Robinson.
Yeah.
Like, You just,
try harder.
Remember those teachers? They're always going to give you a shit grade no matter what you do.
They've done well there. They've had a really good period.
Well, what more could they have done? What would you have liked to have seen to get the A+?
It's a good question. There's not a great deal once you get rid of those picks in the 30s. There's not a great deal left at the draft, so they're kind of all in. But I mean, we know that they're all in, so that's not really a knock.
So was it losing Tom Berry that knocked him?
Tom Berry is
A+?
massive,
Jared Berry.
massive.
He thought it was
Jared could follow in the next year or two.
It's losing. You know what it was? It was losing the future Coleman medalist.
Oh, Dan McStay.
Dan McStay.
Absolutely, they've given him away.
That's
Maybe it's sitting next to Zave all year on the Thursday show and hearing him talk about Dan McStay every week.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Maybe that's infiltrated my brain. No, that could definitely have been an A. They've done really well there for a club that made a prelim. They've done really well.
An atypically quiet Carlton. Blake Acres, pick 49, future fourth in, out. Oh, you got Liam Jones, I suppose.
Yeah, he was on the list.
Setterfield, pick 68 and a future third. Going to the draft with 10, 29, 49, 66.
So one of the low-key players.
Yeah, it was kind of like we got Acres and then we're out.
Yeah, we knew they were going to do it. But that's kind of going into it.
Setterfield late.
We didn't really think that they had a lot to do.
Yeah.
They've done a lot in the last few years.
But this harps back to your point from a few weeks ago of like, Carlton missed the finals, but it was kind of like, who is there to blame? What is there to do coming up now? There wasn't anything sort of glaringly obvious that they needed to do other than fix that wing position with Acres.
So I saw a lot of the people writing these, there were differing levels of how much you pay attention to them, but like top 8 predictors for next year.
Mm-hmm. How's the shade? They're just throwing shade at these unnamed people.
Some of look, okay. Some of those accounts that are all right. Some are.
You can name names.
Some are less. Well, no, I can't remember names. They were folded into one.
That's how insignificant. That's how I remember.
But they all had like Carlton like 4th to 6th, and I was like, maybe, but also, it's the same team, and they missed.
I already
no reason,
think
really.
it's very early to start looking at 2023 because literally the season ended yesterday in my mind. But I would say that Carlton will be in the handful of teams that will be under the most pressure next year
if they can't
to make the 8.
Absolutely.
Because they had, like, as we just said, they didn't need that much. They went and got Acres, and that was a need that they had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got all the other pieces.
You got a Brownlow medalist.
Yep.
2 Coleman medalists.
Yep. Plus
what else do you,
the best young midfielder in the country.
One of the best
Sam
young
Walsh.
key backs in Wiedering.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You go and get the wingmen that you need. You've done all that recruiting over the last 4 to 5 years to bring in guys like Sard and Martin and
what do you need? Nothing.
Williams.
Yeah.
Technically, you don't need anything. So if you've got everything and it's not working, that's when the questions start getting asked.
So what do you think, given this? I
would have probably just said a straight C. They did what they wanted to do.
Yeah, C+.
Oh, okay.
C+.
Good. We're pretty. We're in tune here. Off. We're not miles off.
We'll fall apart at some point as this list goes on, I'm sure.
On to Collingwood. Ins, Tom Mitchell, Dan McStay, Bobby Hill, Billy Frampton, 25, 27, 40. Out. Brodie Grundy, Ollie Henry, 41, 43, 50, future second, future third. Going to the draft, pick 16's at first, 25, 27.
This is easily the hardest to grade.
Outs, there's the big outs and big ins.
These are the hardest ones to do because there's a lot of different deals, there's a lot of different reasons for them.
Yeah.
So to stick a letter on to sort of go across all of it is tough.
Yeah. So clearly Grundy, they felt that they had to do that.
Yes.
For a number of different reasons.
Cap space mainly. It's cap space versus output.
I tweeted the other day, like, if 3 years ago you'd said that Max Gawn and Grundy would be on the same team and that they effectively got him for nearly nothing.
Crazy, hey?
And that they were going to pay some of his contract.
Crazy.
It just, like, your mind would have exploded.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how that's going to work for Melbourne. We'll get to them later. But what we saw with the Pies last year was they made a prelim without Grundy.
Yeah.
Darcy Cameron was great. Mason Cox played pretty well. They bring in Mick he can play forward. They bring in Bobby Hill, who's another crazy forward for them in that weird forward line that they've got.
Yeah.
And there's one more that they brought, Tommy Mitchell, who does fill a need for them. You know, they probably lacked an inside mid, an extractor.
Yeah.
You know, when Taylor Adams wasn't playing well,
yeah.
It was really a one-man squad.
And even when the Heat was on the line in the finals, they're still sticking Pendlebury in there, which is not a knock, but Pendlebury's not going to go forever,
He's supposed to be the luxury
right?
at this point. Yeah. No, I loved what they brought in. I don't like that they lost Ollie Henry. And you can tell me all the bullshit about going home. It's an hour up the road.
Yeah.
I just think he was shitty because he wasn't getting games.
Yeah. Well, you could tell that when he said in the end, like, I'm not coming back. First it was like, I'd like to go. Then it was like, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
Oh, right, you can go to the preseason
The
draft.
Pies did nothing wrong, but I'm not going back.
I'm never going back to that place.
Those two they're very contradictory statements. Ash Johnson broke into the team and played really well, and that was the spot, right? So if you're Ollie Henry, you're thinking, hold on a minute, that's my spot.
Kicked 4 1 week?
He did Ash or
Ollie Henry.
Henry's good, mate. He's really good. We'll get to Geelong soon, but okay. So Collingwood, I like what they brought in. I kind of get why they lost what they lost, but I think they're both really good players. I'm going to go and give them like a C-.
Okay.
So we got a B.
Oh, they're pretty off there. So where are the positives?
They tick the Grundy box, right? They had to do that.
But does that make it okay?
Doesn't make it okay.
Just because they had to do it doesn't mean that you should or you want to do it.
It's a trade period grade rather than a list management grade.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
So we're judging him on
they had to get rid of him
on their fortnight rather than
so if there's a
the situation they found
you have to trade
in.
Brodie Grundy, which is effectively
pretty much
what
it was. Yeah,
they did okay out of it.
Yeah,
is what
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I feel like Tom Mitchell's still got more to give. Yeah, I like Tom Mitchell for a guy who won a Brownlow literally 4 years ago, 2018.
Yeah,
what year are we now? 2022.
It hasn't been
4
awful.
years ago.
He hasn't been awful.
Like they can with the right role, he can make him bounce.
I really like the Tom Mitchell edition. I really like the Bobby Hill edition. I think McStay's a really solid player. As I said, I like all the stuff they did. I don't like that they're still having to clean up all this mess, losing good players, trading away Brodie Grundy for essentially bugger all.
Yeah, that's a worry.
Anyway, that's
kind of wonder if Bobby Hill's in there 22.
Nah, he would be. Yeah, when you put him in that forward line with Elliott, with Ginnivan, with Myercheck, with McStay, it's a really
super
weird looking forward line, which
We're still having subs next year?
No, I think we're going to go 5 players.
And he'll be the 5th guy on the bench.
Essendon, Will Setterfield in, Sam Wiedemann, 54, 68, 72. Out, Aaron Francis and a future 4th. They go to the draft with 4, 22, and then a bunch in the back end.
You talk about atypically quiet.
Yeah.
This was atypically quiet for Essendon. They are normally just head and shoulders above every team in terms
really
of...
uninspiring, isn't it?
Yeah.
In saying that, I think I say this every year around trade time. My favourite trade is for the guy who was a high pick that hasn't come on, that's played 3 or 4 years.
And especially if he goes to Sydney, because Sydney can make these guys good.
So you're flipping it. You're saying Francis is the one.
Francis, yeah.
I think Francis is
Well, I was saying
Setterfield.
Wiedemann and Setterfield, I love that they've given them a new chance.
True. But I feel like out of all those 3, Francis is probably the guy who's going to pop.
Well, because he's at Sydney, you're like, Sydney's done it again.
They do this.
2-year
this
deal.
is what they do.
Watch Aaron Francis become an All-Australian squad member in the next 2 years.
Would not be surprised.
It could happen. I love
Setterfield.
I like that.
Club 3, though, I don't think he's going to pop. I think he's...
Yeah, but you can't... I mean, he was barely at GWS. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But I like that they've given him a crack, and they actually do need those types of players.
Wiedemann makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets a chance. So what do you think?
I don't hate it. It's pretty uninspiring, though. C-.
C+.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's trending up on the grades now.
Yeah, there's only
Mr. Robinson's had a couple of drinks.
C-
marking one
C-
Saturday night.
is almost. You talking about me harsh marking? C- is almost a fail.
So Fremantle in Luke Jackson, Jager O'Meara, Josh Corbett, pick 30, 44, 67, and
lots of futures.
Second round, third round, fourth round. Out Rory Lobb, Griffin Logue, Blake Acres, Darcy Tucker, Lloyd Meek, 13, future first,
and lots of futures.
2 future seconds, future third, future fourth. Go to the draft with 30 and 44 and then a couple of lates.
Okay. So, the guys that they lost, let's start there.
Yeah.
If you look, that's 5 guys who left. But none of those 5 guys are players that you would say they absolutely cannot lose that guy.
Yeah.
Lobb's probably the one that, because of the role, leading goal kicker, but we've all followed that Rory Lobb story for 2 years. He doesn't want to be there. At some point, if you don't want to be there, take your stuff and go. So I actually don't hate any of the guys they lost. In a perfect world, they probably would have kept Griffin Logue, but you can't pay that kind of money for a guy who's your third tall, like at either end of the ground. You just can't do it. So that's fine. The 2 guys that they brought in, not including Corbett, no offense to him, but Jackson and O'Meara are game-changing types of players.
Yes.
Jackson, for obvious reasons, he is the wild card in their premiership attack.
Ambition.
He is the one that could bring it altogether
Yep.
because of the way he plays footy and the way that he crashes packs and the way that he does things around the ground. I'm so excited for them to have him. O'Meara I love in the same way that I kept thinking about, remember the Eagles of sort of that 05-06 era? And they were a really good team. Then they brought in Daniel Chick and they brought in Tyson Stengline.
Yeah.
And they brought in two big bodies, experienced players that kind of bring all the young guys together. And I think the Jaeger move is that, right? It's that type of move where when you're close, you get a veteran, a big body, you bring him in, and he makes life easier for the kids. And I think that's exactly why they did that. So I would struggle to give them anything other than an A. They got the biggest fish of the trade period, depending how you feel about Horn Francis. And O'Meara was a really nice late steal that was really going GWS's way.
A minus.
Cool.
It's probably about right. You're losing.
I think that's fair. The Lob and Meek both going out just concerns me slightly by way of depth.
I feel
there.
like they'll pick up, even as an SSP, maybe if they have a list spot, just go and get a ruck.
Yeah,
and I think they need
State League
to.
ruck,
Yeah,
just as a contingency.
Yeah, go and find the best second division guy or the best guy that got delisted.
Yeah,
that
or
we've
even
probably
if
forgotten about.
they're around that pick. There's like that Jackson Broadbent from here who might still be. He's only got a state combine invite. Was best on ground in the Colts grand final.
Yeah,
He's a big fella.
Yeah,
that you could plug in case of emergency. I feel like that one of those two things is going to be triggered in the off season for them.
it's just on Sharp. So
Which didn't get done.
yeah, but from what I'm told, if there was another 20 minutes, it would have got done.
Yeah.
is that right?
So the issue was because of all the dog stuff happening so late, and it was a priority list, right? The priority list was for the dogs. It was Dunkley first.
Yeah.
Then after that, okay, then we'll deal with Lob because it was kind of linked as well.
Yep.
And then after that, it was like, right, then the Dockers would have to wait for Lob to do Sharp.
Yeah.
So by the time all those things had got done, there just wasn't enough time to work out because they didn't want to give that second round pick.
Yeah,
but they were trying to work out a way to give the same equivalent of stuff. And then essentially the clock just ran out.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, we didn't get there.
Got that
But
sense
it
from
could have got done.
Craig Cameron, the Suns list manager, he's like, probably not as much conversations we would have liked. You
Yeah.
feel like David Walls and Fremantle will be like, mate, there's not that many of us. Like,
Yeah, we had that
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
We were
We
doing
were
a lot of
busy.
stuff.
the phone was
and
engaged.
we wanted to do this.
I also find it strange that like they were so strong on the Sharp stuff for the whole time. Gold
And then
Coast
it
are
was
like, we are not losing Sharp.
third player.
We are digging in. It's like, hold on a minute. You just gave away pick 7,
Yeah.
and we'll
Jack
get to them in a
Bowes.
minute. And Jack Bowes. Actually, I'm going to hold because I think we're getting to
Yeah.
Gold Coast
Mhm.
soon.
But yeah, Luke Jackson, very good.
Great.
Jager.
Love it.
Yeah, even
popped up at
Jager.
last minute.
Seen a few comments from fans. Just, oh, Jager's body shot.
No,
He's
he played-
28. He's missed 5 games in the past 2
Yeah,
seasons.
he's corrected the body stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he's
Yeah.
played one final,
Yeah,
Yeah.
143
and lost it.
games.
Yeah. hasn't won a final yet.
So
He was at the Suns for a long
he'd be
time.
pretty
Mhm.
excited.
Geelong, here we go. Tanner Brune, Jack Bowes, Ollie Henry, and pick 7 in after you win the premiership. And they lost Cooper Stevens, pick 18, pick 38, pick 48, 55, and a host of seconds.
How many pluses can you
I think
put
they'll
on
Yeah.
that?
slate pretty
Mate,
well.
shit,
Yeah.
A plus? Did you give him an A plus?
C minus. Yes, A plus was
It's insane.
the easiest grade of the whole trade
It's
period.
genuinely insane how many people, like good young players they
Yeah.
got in after they won a flag and only lost Selwood.
It just to me screams that everything at that club is going the right way.
Yeah.
Like on the field, clearly they've got great leaders, they're executing it. Off the field, their list management team, their football department, that's working beautifully. They're building that new stadium. Like Geelong is flying.
Yeah.
Like they are the premier club.
They're
not
not going
just the
away.
premiers, but they're the premier club at the moment.
Yeah, they're not going away anytime soon, are
No.
they? The thing that I love most about the Jack Bowes stuff was in the wash up when it was talking about like Paddy Dangerfield was texting his manager after watching a VFL game.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking about Jordan Dawson like 2 years ago. I feel like at Geelong, Jack Bowes, like every Monday, it's like, oh, you see Bowes
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
in the VFL? Whoa.
They're all getting together to watch like Gold Coast
Yeah.
VFL games.
He's their guy.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was their guy. And
But,
they
I mean,
ended up getting him.
That's the thing about this. Like, he's not from there.
No,
He's from Cairns, isn't he?
he's from Cairns. He was his
But-
own player. And
So there's not even like Ollie Henry's got the whole, my brother's playing there.
Yeah.
Tanner Brune's a Geelong kid, right?
Jack Bowes is just
He's from
a
Cairns.
good player who
But
they
he's
were
just
all
like-
infatuated with.
Yeah, you know what I want to do? I want to go play for a really good club.
Yeah.
And Geelong is going to
I
win
think
me over.
what he wanted to do was stick around the Gold Coast, but then when it became a time that they didn't really want it too much.
Okay, can we talk about Gold Coast then? Can we just?
Yeah.
We need to do it because I don't.
Well, they're next anyway.
I don't think. If you'd put that club anywhere else, let's put him here. Let's say that was what West Coast or Fremantle were doing. Let's say it was Adelaide or Port. Let's say it was Richmond or Essendon. That team is getting hit with a sledgehammer. People are getting called to lose jobs.
Yeah.
You can't. There's no way, and they try to spin it in 1,000 different positive ways. There's no way you can spin that.
You can't spin that.
Yes,
that's horrible.
They're taking the bullet now. I get it. They're trying to correct past mistakes. But if that's your past mistakes, then the people who made those decisions in the first place can't be there. They just can't. That is unforgivable. The year after you do the Will Brodie thing, which is now looking even ridiculous, and then you go back to like a Peter Wright, who just won Essendon's BNF.
Yeah, who they traded for a fourth
who they just
round?
gave away
Yeah.
because they paid him too much money in the first place. It is, and I know they have trouble keeping players up there, but that is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
You're completely screwing up your future. Pick 7, attaching that just to get rid of Bose, who's a good player. I mean, Patrick Dangerfield rates him.
He loves him.
There's nothing wrong with Jack Bose. At most clubs, he'd be in the best 22.
Did they have to attach pick 7 to that?
That's the stupidity
Could
of
they
it.
not have attached another
30?
pick to that?
Yeah.
Pick
Did it have
25?
to be 7?
This is what I don't understand.
Yeah,
At what
I
point did
hear.
it become the price is so
Yeah, they had pick
high?
25.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
pick 25 and Bose.
Yeah.
Isn't that enough?
Yeah.
And
I
we're
think
probably
that's
still
enough.
having this conversation, but
Yeah.
just not quite as much.
Unforgivable
Yeah,
for me.
it's unreal.
They're getting an F. I don't even know what is their total ins and outs.
Total ins and outs. In Ben Long, Tom Berry, pick 5, future second, future third, fourth.
Lots of futures.
Lots of futures. Out, Rankine, Bose, Corbett, 7, 25, 32, 36, 46, 56.
Cold hard F.
I went
D
D
minus.
minus just because I'm slightly nicer than you.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
This kid deserves to be expelled.
Yeah.
Like
from the
this
league.
isn't just an
pack
F.
it up.
This is
They
a phone
just
call
went-
to the parents. This is a meeting with the principal. There's a discussion
He's a-
about whether or not this is the right school for him.
They were all walking to assembly and there was a strange smell coming out of the toilets and they found Gold Coast in there punching.
This
You're
is
right. It probably could have been
a
an F.
disaster.
I was probably trying to be too nice to our
Yeah.
4 Gold
So they
Coast
keep
fans who
talking
read the
about,
website.
I don't. No, I think we got a decent Gold Coast.
Do we?
contingent. Yes,
Do
we
we?
talk about them more than
Josh
any
Garlett
other
was a Gold Coast
football
supporter.
medium.
Well,
in
I'm
the
sorry,
country.
Gold Coast fans, but you should be on the same page. You should be annoyed too.
Oh, you barreled it.
I barreled it.
Microwaving the
Wow.
memberships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm interested to see who
But
their
hold
people
on,
are
they
next year.
held
their
on to
academy.
Jeremy Sharp because that was the real sticking
Yeah,
point.
and then got angry that they didn't
Far
get rid of him.
out.
I'm interested. They keep referencing there are some academy players next year, so I'll be interested to see who they are.
Oh, they do have a couple of good ones.
Yeah, and so that's what they were they were sending a lot of picks out to
Cool.
stockpile for next year.
That's great.
But yeah, excellent.
Doesn't matter.
Great academy kids.
Yeah.
You're worse, and you've
out.
given away big picks. All right, Greater Western Sydney in Bedford. Toby Bedford from Melbourne. Pick 1, 15, 18, 19, 31, 43, 57, future first. Out, Taranto, Hopper, Bobby Hill, Tanner Broon. Pick 3, 21, 40, 44,
It's a lot.
etc.,
Oh my
etc.
God.
It's a lot.
4 picks inside the top 20.
There's some serious worries with these expansion teams.
It's
Losing
yeah,
guys.
yeah, real concerns.
serious worries.
Because this is not, they're not isolated incidents.
No.
That's the thing. Like it's year after year. Like,
It's become worse at GWS this year. This year seems like their fire sale year. Like they needed something.
But it's
and they
been
changed the coach
constant
and
though.
everything.
The amount of ex-Giants running around
Well,
and
yeah,
have
that's
been
true.
running around is unreal.
I
For a
know,
club that's
Dave
been
always
around for
goes
10
back to the
years.
thing. It's like, but which ones that they've lost do they want to
Good.
keep?
Yeah.
And I get that. He's right. Like the highest of the high
Well-
end guys, they do get to keep.
This year, Taranto, Hopper, and probably Broon. The
Well-
ones they lost that they wanted to keep.
Yeah, I'd say so. But I mean, their most important guys to keep. You're probably talking Josh Kelly, Tom
Green.
Green.
Other Green.
Tom Green's Victorian, right?
Yeah.
If they lose him, you might have to shut
And
the
he's
place
he's
down.
like granddad played for Richmond.
You might have to shut him down.
Yeah, that'd be a concern. I think he was a academy
Yeah.
player for them, so he's probably
Yeah.
near the
Canberra?
border. Or near the Canberra because they
Yeah,
have
because
that
when
big.
they go back
Oh,
to
boy.
Canberra, it's a Tom
so
Green
there's-
fan
so
club.
he's from
I
Canberra.
don't like where this is
They
going.
must be from Canberra.
For Tom Green. Or for GWS, I should say.
Yeah, well,
That doesn't bode well.
This is they're rebuilding now, eh?
I really
Like,
like
it seems like
that
it.
they brought in Bedford. I like that they went, okay, we want pick 1 because we want...
Yeah, and they've got
Who's the
4
big
picks
forward?
inside the top. Cadman.
Aaron Cadman.
They've got 4 picks inside the top, 19 now.
That's
so
great.
They've got a real good launching pad.
That's great. But like McCartney comes out yesterday and basically says, well, there's only certain kids we can draft. Like, that's an interesting way to do it too.
Just again, you're going to lose and people talk about how many, I think it's like one top 5 pick has gone home every year for the past however many years. But just pick it and make a place they don't want to leave.
This was my argument to it, right? And I know players can leave at some point, but if you're Fremantle, you look at Fremantle, Hayden Young, Caleb Sarong, Andy Brayshaw, Sean Darcy, you can go on and on. Luke Ryan, these are guys who have committed to that club long term. A couple of them are coming out of contract, but I've got no doubt they'll stay. It's the same thing. They're all Victorian kids.
Yeah.
They don't want to go home. No. They want to build something great. So, yes, I get it. It's a smaller club. You're playing in front of smaller crowds. It's a non-football environment. But you can turn that into a positive thing. You're still playing it at big grounds every second week.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll have a chance to play. And you'll have a chance, would have had a chance to play finals previously.
Feels like a built-in excuse.
Oh, it is. Yeah. And I thought it was weird to come out publicly when you're just about to draft 4 of them too. Kind of a weird thing because everyone knows that happens. Bailey Smith, famously, just ghosted West Coast.
Yep.
Just cancelled a meeting and then never called him back again. And there's a couple of others like that, and even Chera, where they felt like Chera was a chance to come home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool, but you took 5 top 10 picks all from interstate. You lose one's not a bad ratio. Because some kids are just going to go back. But I don't. Yeah, it's a weird period from GWS, and the danger is that they don't know what they're doing. Don't know. Well, that is a danger. That's a pretty major flag.
That's a big danger.
But what are they? Are they rebuilding?
But if you're going to err, you err on the side of let's start again, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've got these 4 inside the top 20, it's like, okay, we can go again.
Yeah, you got Green as well. You got Callahan.
Yeah. But it's better to err on that side rather than erring on the other way, where it's like, oh no, let's bring some guys in and let's see if we can bounce back and pop next year.
Because the thing is, Taranto, Hopper, and Bruin, they're not old.
No.
They're the guys you want around.
Mid-20s,
yeah.
What about Cadman though? Is he looking at McCartney's comments, going, dude, I'm leaving in 2 years. Hate to tell you, but I'm really close with my family. It's pretty risky going out on a limb and saying that stuff.
And then picking him.
McCartney's like, did you see my comments? He's
this
like,
kid's going to stay.
No.
That was good. And the vision came around again about Bruin when his face when he was picked by GWS. You're like, it doesn't look.
I feel sorry for them because I think we all really like the Giants song and we really want to hear it more often.
Yeah, right? We're not going to get too many chances.
It just feels like every time they get going, more stuff disappears.
They were so good for a long period, and then even with a few players leaving every year, they managed to keep up there. But then it's gone to hell. Did you do the?
Okay, so that's a lot of outs.
But 4 picks inside the top 20.
But some good ins.
Including pick 1.
Trying to say, don't give them too bad a grade. And I do like Bedford. I'm going to have to give him a C.
C minus.
C minus.
Okay, yeah. I was
Have you got it up, or do you remember?
Sorry?
Have you got it up in front of you, or do you
No,
just remember?
I've got it up now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was impressed if it wasn't.
No.
But that's the kind of thing Robbo would be able
I
to
didn't know. I didn't put that much thought into it.
Hawthorn, Inns, Carl Amon.
Oh,
Thinking about Carl Amon yesterday.
Carl Amon seems like it happened 4 years ago.
Doesn't it?
And
Goodness gracious.
Carl
It's been
Amon
a long
signed on
trade
for
period.
a side that had Jagger Amira and Tom Mitchell running around to help him out.
So you'll be on the wing. Inside, we've got these 2 older guys. They're really good.
Legitimately, I think he's 27
Probably about
from memory, and I think he's now, with all of their outs, I think he's about the 4th or 5th oldest guy on that list now.
I hope he's getting paid well.
So Inns, Amon, Lloyd Meek, Cooper Stevens. 41,
Love
48,
Cooper Stevens.
50. That should work out all right. Tom Mitchell, Jack Gunston, Jagger Amira outs. They go to the draft with 6, 24, 41, 48, 50, blah, 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 blah.
All right, so
It's just this is now at least they now know what they are.
Clean
we
slate.
are completely clean slate.
yeah, clean slate. The Clarko era is over.
And you add outs, not trades, but Shields as well. on top of
McAvoy.
Yeah.
McAvoy.
It's a whole new club.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys saw the tweet that was going around yesterday, the leadership group thing from last year.
Yes.
Oh, then there's
So
one
those
left?
3 guys that left, plus Shields and McAvoy, were 5 of the 6
Warple's the last
from the
guy.
leadership group
Warple
last
can't
year.
get going.
Warple's
Not
playing
4
in the
years ago.
AFL.
Last year's leadership group, they've lost 5 of their 6
The
guys.
captain now is going like a busted ass and is in and out of the side.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Who's that? Oh, who is that? Who would be their captain there?
Well, Sicily.
Oh, Sicily. Yeah. Sorry,
Sicily, you probably go
coming
with like a Sicily Newcomb kind of
Yeah.
new age.
Wow, what a rise for Newcomb.
And Carl Amon.
Unreal.
Carl Amon's the captain.
Carl Amon. Yeah.
14th in the Brownlow.
Okay, so I don't mind that they've sort of cleaned the slate. I mean, Gunston he was pretty much a spent force, right, at this point.
Yeah, once he came back, he had a good
He's
finish.
fine,
But
That's good.
that makes sense.
Great for Brisbane.
To
But yeah,
deal with.
yeah.
Yeah, but for Hawthorn,
Makes sense for everybody.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah,
doing the other 2 guys. You could argue that the longer you wait, the lower their market value is. But we already saw their market value is pretty low as it is.
Yeah,
Well, Sam Mitchell did that to Tom Mitchell in a
Yeah.
way with his
Yes.
role this year.
Yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was a bit surprised.
And Jager. Too,
Yeah, and
really.
Jager, yeah.
Jager, like GWS were there initially. I was surprised Hawks didn't push him more to go to GWS because they had all those first round picks. Like they might have got an 18 or whatever rather than a. What they get in the end? Like a. Was it 21 or was it?
21. Yeah, and Meek.
And Meek.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then something else came.
Oh, no. It was a future second and Meek.
And then
That's
a
right,
future
yeah, Meek and a
fourth went
future
back, I
second.
think,
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds right.
Um,
You should have it there, right?
the outs in 624.
They got a future. I think they got a future fourth
Future
from
second
Freo
round pick, future
as
fourth
well
round pick.
as
Yeah, right.
Make from memory.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Anyway.
Carl Amon on the wing. Their centre square is now like Lloyd Meek, Cooper Stevens.
So this is clearly
Jack.
an addition by subtraction move by them, right? They think by going 3 steps backwards,
Yeah.
Yes.
they can get better young talent through the door.
I just thought they would have got. You lose Tom Mitchell and Jager O'Meara, you come away with a better draft and then 6 and 24.
Yeah, I guess. But you'd also got
But you have
Cooper
another one in
Stevens,
Yeah.
who is only young and he's a first-round pick.
Yep.
Lloyd Meek, who I think Lloyd Meek deserves a crack to be a number 1 ruckman.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a pretty good get
Yep.
for them. So you're bringing in those 2 guys who nothing to sneeze at, and they did get aim on as well. I'm going to give them like a. I was going to go D+, but I think I'm going to go C-.
Okay.
C plus.
I went C plus,
Okay.
and a bit of that was I'm happy with the fact that they've again lent in to the rebuild and just gone, okay, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's do this. Instead of playing Tom Mitchell out of position,
Yep.
we're going to take Tom Mitchell to another club and we're going to find Cooper Stevens to go in there.
Yeah.
So
I love the Stevens get. I don't want to overrate it, but I like that they got a kid that they can give games to, and he's already played a little bit, and he's a high-end draft pick.
yeah. No,
Love
they're all in on the next gen. So I
Cooper
felt like-
Stevens was one of the Tim Kelly trade picks, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So Cooper Stevens, Josh Ward, and Newcomb. Maybe is that their centre?
Yeah, Connor McDonald. Throw him in there.
Yeah.
Con McDon.
They start
Yeah.
running through. Yeah, they might get some L's next year.
Yes.
Melbourne.
Lots and lots of them.
Ian's, Brody Grundy, Lockie Hunter, which is another. We had a couple of like weird late ones this year.
late.
Like,
Yeah.
I know that guy. Josh Shackey, 13.52, future first, future second. Out, Luke Jackson, Jaden Hunt, Toby Bedford, Sam Wiedemann, 33, 43, 53, 67, future, blah, 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 blah.
So Jackson, as we know now, was always going.
Yep.
And I love the hustle to replace him with a Brody Grundy
Yeah,
because that's great. Like, and in the short term, he's a better player than Luke Jackson.
yeah.
And then to get the Hunter piece late,
It's okay.
you might get a year or 2 out of him, rejuvenated, put him on a wing. He's always been a pretty handy player when
Josh
the teams
Shackey's
are good.
Good backup. They don't really have.
I don't
Josh-
hate that.
Josh
That's basically he
Shackey, Sam
becomes Wiedemann, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a lot between them.
He'd be very good in the VFL, and every now and then he'll get a crack.
Yeah.
For the hustle, I kind of want to give him like a B+.
Yeah, I went B. This is one of those ones where it's kind of hard to weigh it up.
Yeah.
Again, there's just a lot of question marks there as to particularly what's Gawn and Grundy look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Who's more likely to be? I mean, Gawn's more likely to be the forward, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's got a
bizarre.
better track record of
What's the ruck split?
taking
do we
a
think?
clunk.
I don't know.
I,
I genuinely don't know how this works. Like, I don't think has a side ever had
it's going to be
2
fascinating.
A-grade ruckman.
Not like this. Like there was
No.
a Cox and Nui.
But
Well, they were both
They're
all
very
Australian
different types
that
of
year,
players,
yeah.
and they were
very
There's a
different.
precedent for it, I guess. Like having 2 ruckmen in the All Australian team from the same team is a pretty good precedent,
Yeah.
isn't it? So it can be done.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and I can't remember that season much.
Well, Natanui was very much in his, hey, this guy's now a star. And Cox was very much he's the best ruckman.
Coming down.
Maybe slightly on the down. So it was probably a perfect storm. But still, if that can work, maybe this can work.
Maybe. A bit worried about Wiedemann going out. I really felt like...
I like Van Ruin had a good year in the twos.
Yeah, well, they're backing.
You were really that on Wiedemann?
No, not really worried about it. But like the biggest knock on Melbourne is what's happening up forward, right?
Yeah.
And so to take away one of the options, who's a guy who could be. Well, I don't know. But I mean, how much longer is Ben Brown going to be the guy for?
Yeah.
What? So JVR looms pretty large. I think they need to give him some minutes next year and go, hey, show us what you can do.
40 in VFL level.
Yeah. Got some swagger too.
Yeah.
He's a confident kid.
Yeah. He got crook in his draft year. The year before he was unreal, and then he got a bit crook, and it took him a while to get going. And he took him in the first round. So
I reckon they were pretty close to playing him in the finals.
It sounded like they were, yeah.
So, I don't mind it.
Which also shows you how their forward stuff's going. Like structure.
Definitely.
Them and Fremantle, same sort of boat,
It's going to be one of the more fascinating storylines of the preseason and the early part of next season is the Grundy-Gawn combination.
And what nickname we come up with for it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because Gaundy doesn't really...
Gaundy. Yeah.
Fantasy-wise, it's also difficult.
Bromax.
North Melbourne.
That.
In Logue, Tucker, pick 2, pick 3, pick 40, 43, and a future first. Adelaide's future first.
You sound so sad talking about North Melbourne.
Yeah, he's sad. He's
definitely
so flat.
Energy level, didn't he?
Out, Jason Horn-Francis, pick 1, future second, future fourth. I understand a lot of the reasoning for it, but like I agree with a lot of people. You send your pick 1 from last year and the actual pick 1 and only get 2 and 3 back.
But you got the 8. Sorry, the future first.
Future first, we just put Adelaide, which would be like 12, 13.
Well, is it though, or is it? Like, it could easily be 8. They had 8 this year.
True.
Like, if it's in that range.
I also, you wonder, like, sometimes trading a future first and then you give them a really good player is detrimental to your, like,
that's
goals.
True. That's true.
Have this.
What was clear was that Horn-Francis was not well liked.
No.
I mean.
Did not get a single... when the clubs put out their releases and say goodbye and we'd like to thank whoever for their service, did not get a mention from North Melbourne.
Nah, and none of the other players posting nice pictures saying good
Quite
luck.
the opposite, actually.
Yeah, Zurhar.
Cam Zurhar posting an offer code for his barbecue business.
Tell you what, circle, and it hasn't been a long while since we've circled a North Melbourne game as a must-watch, but North Melbourne, Port Adelaide next year.
Yeah.
Big circle on that one.
maybe for the first 15 minutes, and then it's a 30-point lead, and it's
done after that.
Time to tune out. Yeah.
Just the first bounce, and then you turn off.
Yeah.
How angry they
I feel differently about Horn-Francis because I'm like, you don't want to be here, mate. Off you go. And it's only a year. Yeah. You basically got back what you paid for him, slightly more actually. Really, when you think about it, if you're getting pick 2, he was pick 1, but really he was the second best guy in the draft because of Dacos. And then you're getting that pick. Let's say 10, 11,
first.
whatever.
It's probably, I don't know.
You're actually making, it's a very small gain on an investment that you would have assumed if you'd waited 4 or 5 years, it could have been a lot more. But what we've seen is, look at Luke Jackson. So he's 3 years in, he was the rising star winner, a premiership ruckman, and the return is less than what Horn-Francis got.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So you could argue, you should have held firm, but are we sure it's going to be any better next year? I don't think so. I like it. Just, all right, off you go, mate. Bugger off.
Yeah.
Go
I
and
think
enjoy
this
your
is
career.
one of those ones where they had to do it, right?
Yeah, I agree.
They weren't going to be able to hold on to Horn-Francis.
I wouldn't have been surprised if he stayed if there was a big issue over summer as to is he going to come back?
Yeah.
Is he going to stay in
he
South
might just not
Australia?
check in.
Like,
Yeah.
pull a Cam McCarthy
South
and just...
Adelaide.
Yep. I think they made the right move. I'm going to give him a C-.
I just went
Straight
flat
C.
C, yeah.
Yep.
They do have at least... Logan Tucker will be in their best 22.
I like Darcy Tucker, and I think Logan will be good in that
fine.
position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be busy. He's playing
He sure
back
will.
for North Melbourne.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Port Adelaide. Ins, Jason Horn-Francis. Junior Rioli, 33 and a future second tied to Collingwood. Out, Amon, pick 8, 57, future first, future second.
They're big winners.
That's good.
They're big winners.
That's there now,
Yeah.
They're not dropping away. We thought there might be a lag when a couple of those top-end guys retire, but it's not.
Yeah.
Because they've now got Horn Francis, Rosie, Butters. Like they've got good guys in the
Wines
right
is
age.
still
Wine's still youngish.
in the right space.
Yeah. Georgiades coming through up forward. Like they've got
decent fixture finishing in that middle bracket as well.
Yeah, so they can hang on.
They're ready to pop.
They're not going down. They're hanging on, and then they're jumping in a year or two. Maybe even next year. Who knows?
I think they could jump next year. Yeah.
It's a really good off season for them, and to get Rioli as well, who I think before all his issues popped up, he was heading towards being a top 3 or 4 small forward in the game.
Yeah, he's 2018.
He's very skilled, and if he's at his best, he's
a match winner.
He's
an absolute match winner. Yeah.
And something that Port Adelaide have really not had. Like, they've had Robbie Gray in that space, but he's a different player.
Different.
Wingard, maybe when he's
Wingard,
that year,
when
he was Australian
there.
young.
Yeah, I just think what Rioli does is he only touches the ball 8 to 10 times a game, but 7 of those are going to end up in a goal or close to it. So I think it's a great summer for them. I would say B+, maybe even A-.
A.
I went A. Yeah.
Straight A. Yeah. A good thing for Horn Francis. Like, it's not, you feel so much relief. I mean, beyond like putting all the other issues aside, like being the number 1 pick at North Melbourne, where you're the guy, and it's like, who's helping me?
LDU.
Ben Cunnington, but he's not here.
And
LDU.
Yep.
And now coming into here, it's like you don't need to.
Well, he's not on the posters.
Yeah, you don't need to be on the way up.
No, the posters are Rosie and Butters. And Wines.
Yeah.
And even still Travis Spoke. And then maybe Georgiades if he can continue to rise.
You just reminded me, I think he literally was on a poster at
Yeah.
Fox Footy that they had printed out at their headquarters
And
in North
Jaeger.
Melbourne gear and Jaeger in Hawthorn gear.
Yeah.
Going to have to reorder those.
Yeah, that's an A. Richmond, Tim Taranto, Jacob Hochpa, pick 53, 63. Out, pick 12, 19, 31, future first. Good. I think
it's an A.
Yeah, A-.
Yeah.
Gave him.
Tops
It's a
up.
nice little midfield, isn't it?
Yep.
It's a really nice little midfield.
And
Richmond
it goes from Richmond like, they might dip to like, no, that's very good
we
again.
hear.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
And the type of players those two guys are, because they're so different. Like Taranto's that sort of goal kicking, but can play a bit inside and out. Then you got Hopper, who's this big bull.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. Like, I think it's great for them.
Yeah.
It's great for Jack Graham.
They're starting to get to that Geelong sort of level of versatility where you can stick different guys where you need them to. Like we saw what Baker's done. He's kind of moved around. Jaden Short. Obviously Dusty, Shea Bolton. You can kind of stick them where you need to.
We're seeing a new era of club management where we don't have to go backwards.
Yeah.
Geelong are doing it.
Figure out how
Sydney
to
have done
stay
it. Richmond are doing it now, where we just keep regenerating, and because we're successful, good players will want to come.
Yeah.
And we've just seen that with those two clubs. Like, okay, well, we don't have to go to the draft because we're just taking these guys who are high draft picks who don't want to be at their clubs for whatever reason.
Yep.
And now they're coming to us. Like, it makes for years and years and years and years of contending, and eventually you will pop up and you'll get a flag. And you're playing enough prelims.
Well, Geelong showed that. You're playing enough prelims, eventually you'll get one.
Yeah. I think it's the new way of it's easier said than done. But if you can set yourself up to be that club, I think Brisbane is sort of kind of in that space.
They're getting there, yeah.
Continuous contending.
Yep.
Keep bringing in good players.
It's kind of like we're seeing more of an all or nothing approach. That approach, and then also like a Hawthorn where it's like, no, we're not quite there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's blow it up. Let's reset it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up like St Kilda. Who we'll get
we
to.
may not see the old like 2 teams changing in the 8 every year. That might not be as often as 10.
It's hard to get to be one of those big power clubs now. Like, but they're the power clubs now, not just the Collingwood because they have a lot of supporters, or Essendon because they're a big club. It's now what are you doing on and off?
Yeah. It's the culture of the club. Its facilities is probably a part of it.
I heard Dalehouse talking about Geelong. He's retired now, and he's saying that the difference with Geelong is like it's not. You have to do this now and be here training for this many hours and do this ice bath, and it's like, what do you need? Like, and they put a bit of the responsibility on the players, and because they're an older group, they trust it. And then the older players are naturally hard workers anyway. It's like they're going to cut corners,
so it folds through the rest
and then
of
so
the group.
it flows through. So it's a bit of a player empowerment sort of vibe.
Yeah,
but trust. It's trust.
You do need the older group to be able to do that.
Yeah, you couldn't do that with a bunch of kids. You couldn't. If you're Gold Coast, you can't be like, "Hey guys, you turn up when you want."
Yeah,
like, see how you go. Like,
you got to build that from the ground up.
Yeah.
And they don't overpay. Like I said, they obviously get all those old guys going in every year, being like, "I probably took this much unders, but I have 4 flags. Come if you want."
Hasn't Zave talked about the cost of living in Geelong, though? About how it's far less?
Oh, it probably is.
Like, it's actually like you could buy like I think he's talked about Tom Walker's like massive property. Like, if you bought that, you couldn't do that in Melbourne, like in the CBD. No. Like, you couldn't do that in Sydney. So you've also got this advantage if you're probably earning the same money or slightly less, and you can do more with it. And overlook the ocean on your 4x2. Correct. On the peninsula there. Yeah, and is it a peninsula? Like, Geelong's beautiful. Like it's on it's on the water, like Torquay's right there. Like it's a lovely part of the world.
St Kilda.
Might go to Geelong. You guys want to go to
hit
Geelong?
Us up, Geelong Tourism Council. We have sponsorship opportunities available.
We can take the podcast to Geelong.
We should just do a Geelong edition. I think we should.
We can't go to Gold Coast after this podcast.
Yeah, correct.
I might not be let back in. Zane Cordy and pick 32 in Ben Long out. Draft hand 9, 28, 32. Probably not one we need to harbour on here for St Kilda.
But how is their draft hand not better than 9, 28 and 32?
Oh, man.
Don't know.
Where are the Saints?
Can I give them a D for dull?
You got a D.
They got a D. Yeah. They got a D for DeGoey's not coming.
You can't give them an F because they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't give them a better grade than a D because they didn't do anything.
They just tried to get Jordan to go and it didn't really work. At least like ship Bradley Hill or something. Do something.
Yeah. Attach pick 9 to Bradley Hill.
Yeah. Even the yeah. Someone take it. Hunter Clark that just wasn't going to get done. Like you could have. I don't know.
Well, anyway. I do like that they held Hunter Clark. I will say that.
It's going to be good, but also the injury. If they could, depending what they could have got back for him, I probably would have.
They must be confident he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because if on the outside looking,
he's one of those dudes though. It's just like impact injuries.
Yep.
Like
one more.
He just hits them.
One or two more of those.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sydney in Aaron Francis and pick 42.
Future All-Australian squad member Aaron
Francis.
Francis.
Mate,
book it.
This year.
Absolutely book it.
Pick 37. Future 4th round pick out. They go to the draft with 14 and 17.
So very quiet.
Where'd they get the other first rounder from? Would have been last year.
Must have been last year.
I'm just going
to Dan Hannabury.
Going to give him like a C minus. They didn't really do anything.
Yeah, C plus.
I don't mind the pot shot at Francis. I just like that they're holding ground. They've got everything they need.
Yeah.
We were in a grand final with a heap of kids.
Yeah.
Was it the youngest grand final side ever? Or I make
against the oldest.
Yeah, probably against the oldest. Is that a stat? Real stat?
Weren't Geelong the oldest team to run
The oldest one is real.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
hadn't
sure
heard
the youngest.
I feel like that's one of the ones that Nick just makes up.
Probably just made
and
it up.
Buddy's also like 36, so
he would
he's
drag
skewing
the average up a little bit.
Maybe it was like if you took Buddy out of this team,
then
he would be the youngest grand final.
Probably something like that.
Yeah.
C plus.
Yeah, it's about right.
West Coast Eagles in Jaden Hunt, pick 8, 12, future 2nd, future 3rd. Both tied to Port Adelaide. Oh, no, that's right, that's in. And then out, Junior Rioli, pick 2, pick 40. So they go to the draft with 8, 12, 20, 26.
I love the draft hand.
Yep.
I think this is the best draft hand they've had in a while. I don't hate the split.
Might be the best draft hand they've ever had.
The year they had Judd and they also had Sampi in the same draft. Both top 6 picks, I think.
3 and 6 or something.
That's a pretty good year. I would say I liked the splitting of the picks because I think everyone's in agreement that the difference between pick 2 and pick 8 this year isn't as massive as it could be.
Yeah.
My initial gut feel was like, I thought that could have been a better, like they could have got more for it, but then it's pretty comfortable at the end of the day, 8 and 12.
And it's an extra body.
It's an extra
need
body.
to get
and they
extra
need
young bodies.
Because now when you're rattling off who have they got in the cupboard, it's not just 2 kids, it's 3 kids.
Yeah.
And if one's a bust, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Whereas
it's an extra body, and then you back yourself to hit on 8 and 12
and
or whatever they end up
3 really good WA kids in that area, like Jinby, Ruben Jinby, Jed Buslinger. By the way, it is Buslinger, not Buslinger.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Buslinger.
That's good.
And
even
Hewitt,
better to pronounce. Yeah.
They're all in that same space, and it's Jinby, not Ginby, as well, which is way harder to say. Jinby. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It'll be the first. So he's going to be the first one taken from
Jinby?
WA. Jinby.
Yeah.
We're just cutting up a highlight reel. Here's actually, if you check out Streamer Sports on Instagram, it'll be out there.
You know, whenever I hear his name, before I knew it was Jinby instead of Ginby, I used to think of Rebecca Gibney because it's Ruben Gibney.
She
was a play school, wasn't she? Was Rebecca Gibney on play school?
Yes, and Pack to the Rafters.
Pack to the Rafters. The
They're
national
everywhere.
treasure. She's the national treasure.
One of the Packs of the Rafters guys popped up in the new Game of Thrones. So I was like, hey,
Oh, yeah, I
Packs
saw
of the
that.
Rafters.
Did see that. I was
Yeah.
like, where's that guy
Here
from?
they come. It's Packs of the Rafters. That's where
It
it's
was
from.
a great show. It's
Oh,
Channel
they
7.
went everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, then I think the remake got something
The old
else on
stuff was
Amazon
better.
or something.
The old stuff was
Yeah,
better.
that was a real Carlo.
My
Was it
God.
Carlo? Is that his name? The friend?
I think you were deeper than me.
You're starting, I think you're starting to reveal just how into
Great
Pack to the
program.
Rafters you
Clearly, you had a little bit more invested in
No, just go back and watch the. I've got the box set, DVD box set.
Would actually signed copy. It's unopened. Signed by what was the Hugh Sheridan? Would have been signed by Hugh
would have been
Sheridan.
signed by
Did you
Because he would
call
come
up?
over for telethon.
Yeah,
Rebecca
did you call
Gibney.
up when one of them was on telethon?
Definitely.
Yeah,
So
ask Carlo to take his shirt off and give
if
him
this
$10.
gets read out, I'll double my
The
donation.
awkward part is that he was already working here. And he was calling from inside the building. Nick's like standing side
The call's
stage
coming from inside
with
the
his
house.
box set, shirtless,
Back
going,
to the Rafters.
Hugh, it's for one of the kids.
It's for
Can
my
you just
kid,
sign?"
whose name is also Nick.
Yeah,
It's Nick
he's
Jr.
very
But
ill.
leave the junior out.
He's very ill. But yeah, I don't know. So he'll probably go around that pick. But that's
Who are we talking about? Rebecca Gibney.
Rebecca Gibney.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Rebecca Gibney will go at pick 8.
Yes.
Bit on the older side, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, but that's the first pick from WA in 2 consecutive years will be from like Dunsborough, Bustleton.
Yeah, right.
Productive
Southwest.
Yeah.
fortnight for
great
the region.
spot. I can
Fortnight,
understand.
2 years.
Yeah, and a lot of clean air out there, a lot of
There
fresh
is.
air,
That's what it is. You know.
growing boys.
Yeah, they were both big boys. They're large men.
What? A lot of fresh produce.
So good in the end.
We need to
West
wrap
Coast?
this up.
Can we just clip out that
get
growing
to the end.
boys as like our
Growing
promo?
boys.
growing boys?
Big boys down there. Yeah, so that's a good hand for them. West Coast is kind of what they needed to do, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they ticked all the boxes. I don't think they knocked it out of the park, but given where they were with the Rioli situation, and I reported this, but Port were adamant that they were going to walk him to the draft, but also put a price on his head so high where they knew that no one else was going to sign him.
Yeah.
And West Coast knew that. So that they had to take what they could get at the end of the day. And they walk away with a really good draft hand. They said they were going to invest in the draft, and they've done that. So I would probably give them a B.
Yeah, I went B minus. I think.
minus.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think B's about right.
Yep.
It's about right. And
It's
with
not
the
flashy,
draft
but
hand-
that's what happens when you're trying to get draft picks.
with the
Gotta
draft
do what
hand
you
they
gotta
had,
do.
we talked about shipping older players for picks during the year and then probably should have done it again. But you walk out with that, four picks in first 26 and that's enough. Like if you can hold the other guys
Yeah.
and bring them
Gotta hit
along.
on.
I had a lot of Eagles fans hitting me up going like, oh, why aren't the Eagles into Sharp, or why aren't the Eagles into O'Meara, or why aren't they trying to get Meek? And that stuff's fine to do, but that's the stuff you do when you've already got all the other
Couple of
stuff
years down the track,
and you're
innit?
starting to just pepper in the edges.
Yeah.
West Coast don't have any of the stuff in the middle yet, so they need to go to the draft, get the kids, build around it, and then you can go, hey, what else do we need? We're lacking on the wing. Should we
Jeremy
get
Sharp, bring him in.
Jeremy Sharp?
Yeah.
That's when you do that stuff. So just hold the patience. If you want them to be good, you're going to have to take time.
And wrapping it up with Western Bulldogs, who bring in Rory Lobb, Liam Jones, 21, future first from Brisbane, future second from Brisbane, and a couple of future fourths. Out, Josh Dunkley, Lockie Hunter, Zane Cordy, Josh Shackey, pick 30, future second, future third. Go to the draft with 11, 21, and a few lates.
3 premiership players out,
Mm.
including your best and fairest, which is
Hold on, was Shackey a
a bit of
premiership
a
worry?
worry. No, Zane Cordy.
Oh, Cordy,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Dunkley's obviously the biggest loss, best and fairest winner.
Yep.
But one thing I think we thought about the Bulldogs, same as GWS, funnily enough, who also lost midfielders, is that we kind of thought that they had too many guys, right?
Yeah, they were trying to fit square pegs in round holes.
Yeah. So losing, Hunter's much of a muchness at this point, but losing Dunkley, it just means McRae spends more time in that centre square than he did because he was pushing out to a wing at times. It means you get Smith more in there, maybe involved. You get Treloar gets more time in the middle. He was playing off a back flank.
Also, Bevo doesn't need to worry about people reporting whether Lucky Hunter's in or not.
Oh my goodness.
That's true. And ironically, he went to Melbourne.
Yeah.
Which was
that was an interesting wrinkle on the season.
Yeah, wasn't it just?
Yeah.
And then I do like that. The Lob thing doesn't really seem to fit because you got Darcy and Ugle-Hagan and Norton.
Yeah.
But I was listening to Sam Power explain it, and it kind of made a bit of sense. Like Darcy and Ugle-Hagan, as much as they're great talents, they're not ready.
Yeah.
And the Bulldogs want to win a flag. Like they're ready. They're in the window right now. So Lob's on a 3-year deal. By the time he's coming to the end of that,
They'll
you would
take over.
assume those other two guys would be ready to take over. And Aaron Norton, how many times last year did we say he needs help?
Yeah.
Well, what Lob will do is he'll take a defender, he'll kick 30 to 40 goals, he'll give him help.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of get it now. And I love the Jones pickup because their backline's been just a mess for a long time.
You imagine Darcy gets a bit of time down there too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually,
works. Be interested to see how Liam Jones goes.
Yeah.
Is it 2 years out or 1 year?
1 year, just a 1 year out. Yeah.
It feels like it's been longer than that.
Yeah.
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 That's right.
Mate, at the start of this year, we were talking about COVID and everyone getting vaccinated. Like, it just feels like 7 years ago.
It's been a big year.
Considering they lost Dunkley, I'm still going to somehow give him like a B minus.
Yeah,
crazy?
I went C. Yeah. The Dunkley thing.
That hurts.
Anytime you lose your best and fairest, that's a...
Yep. But I don't hate that they lost Cordy or Hunter. Like, I don't think that's really, you know.
Yeah, that's
Jones isn't up on Cordy, and getting in Lob to solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the Dunkley thing will be fixed from the players they already have.
Cool. So we're pretty well on the same page.
I feel like there
overall.
weren't too many where we were jarring.
What was the one?
And he was doing it in the heat of the moment, like under the pump.
Yeah, I was kind of okay with how that worked out.
Yeah, he did great.
Going back over it, I thought that was going to be much worse.
What was the one? Maybe
we don't need to revisit the one that I got horribly wrong. Yeah, let's not do that. We're already way over time. Let's wrap this thing up.
Well, there was one that I gave an F where you gave him like a D+ or something. Was that Gold Coast?
Maybe it was Gold
I
Coast.
did get a very lengthy fan feedback email reply about I sort of posed the question about West Coast pick split in my little comment and just said, well, as I said, better to get more bodies in the door.
Yep.
But, what if pick 2 becomes a generational player kind of thing?
Yep.
Got a very strong reply from one fan who assures me that the draft is very even. So pick 2 will definitely not be a generational player like Chris Judd. So bad luck, North Melbourne. Whoever you're getting with pick 2,
they're no good.
Been assured that they are not that good.
I'm not saying that some people out there are very educated in the space of football, but a lot of time I think what happens is the momentum of a story gains.
Yeah, it's an even draft now.
So we've all decided now that it's all an even draft.
Yeah.
I think I just said it 5 minutes ago.
Yeah,
even
draft.
And I know a bit about this draft, but I wouldn't say I've been watching, hours and hours of vision of TAC Cup or whatever they call it still. Like, that's not what's happening here.
NAB
so
League.
It becomes a narrative, NAB League.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the same. I had a lot of conversations around the NAB League, and I couldn't get TAC Cup out of my head every time I tried to talk
Some
about
things
it.
just stick.
Yeah, I think it depends when you sort of grew up and... It was a TAC Cup for a long time.
Yep, skilled stadium.
Ray H comments underneath it. Meh, so many ifs and what ifs.
Okay.
Good on you, Ray.
Meh.
Good on you, Ray. Thanks for your
taking
contribution.
the time to leave that comment.
I love that Ray cares so little about it, but took the time to write meh. Like, the effort you have to go to.
It's got a bit going on, Ray.
All right, well, let's just
Thanks,
punch
Ray.
it out. Just question without notice to finish this off. Give us one side you're most excited about seeing next year on the back of this.
Ooh.
Port Adelaide, all in. I want to see how this goes. They're all in as well on their coach as well, because we know the pressure that Hinkley's under.
Yep.
Some of the older guys, the last swing for Boak, to have Horn Francis, who's going to be must-see in terms of how that plays out. Yep. Rioli's always must-see. Yeah, looking forward to watching Port bounce back.
I'm fascinated by Collingwood and Melbourne because of the different mixes.
Yes.
But Zave's going to kill me for this, but I actually am excited about Fremantle.
Yeah.
I want to see this Jackson thing. I want to see how O'Meara fits in. I think they've added some stuff that could really put them up.
Yeah, I'm probably
Zave's going to kill me for that.
I'm probably a bit the same. I just want to see how the Jackson works, and I'm actually no longer really the sports editor, so I can lean more heavily into just being a nuffy, which is handy. So there we go, Fremantle. I'm most excited about Fremantle.
You were always a nuffy, just FYI.
It's just sort of there was a long time I wasn't, and then I stepped aside, and then it started to creep back in.
Is that around the time you bought the Gold Coast membership?
Yeah, there was. I got the scarf upstairs, the foundation member scarf.
You know, he set fire to it after the Bose trade.
Yeah,
I caught him up. There was a smoke alarm. We all had to go out of the building.
Well, no, that one, I don't care about those. Losing rankings, unforgivable. Now I'm an Adelaide fan. I'm joining. All right, this has been the Hardball Gets AFL show. Completely packed for work in the weekend. This podcast was brought to you by the new Mazda BT50 SP. It's the complete package. We'll see you next time.